Oh, boy. Whew. There I am. Whew. Man, I must have been on the ground for like a year since the last awards. I was going to do a skit, and then I forgot. It took me so fucking long to start the stream that I forget the goddamn skit I was planning to do. So, fuck the skit idea. We're not doing that. But, like, true fact, though, I could have started the stream probably an hour ago, something like that. But I have just been struggling to tie my fucking tie, because I am so famously bad at ties that, and I didn't even do that great of a job. It's just like, it's tie shaped at this point. So I call that a fucking win, because dear God, I was straight up just like at solid hour of me just working at doing that. All right. So this is what you get. All right. This is it. Welcome to the fucking, I guess I should introduce myself. Hello everyone, and welcome to the inaugural Dialogue Tree Awards, which in and of itself is a sequel to the inaugural Cold Topic Awards, which, let's be honest, we're never getting a second one of those. So welcome to Dialogue Tree. And how else are we going to do an award ceremony but fully suited up? And I'm not wearing this. I'm not wearing the suit pants. I'm in pajamas on the bottom. You can't see that. Shh! Don't tell yourself that. And we got ourselves a bottle of champagne. That's right, a real bottle of champagne. Now, admittedly, this is actually California champagne, and it is quite literally the cheapest goddamn champagne I could find. But they did name a region of California champagne, which means this is technically champagne and not sparkling white wine. I guess it is also sparkling white wine, but it is also technically, we are rocking some genuine champagne. I need to figure out how to fucking open this. It says to point this away from me in case it explodes, I think. There we go. And we have a certified champagne glass, which is definitely a margarita glass, but I didn't have an actual flute. There we fucking go. I'm wearing an oversized Demon Slayer shirt with holes in it. It smells like boob sweat and plaid pants. That's how you do. Maid, you get the spirit. And I'm drinking water. I also have water, but that's just because I'm afraid of getting a hangover. All right, we got some champagne, we got a suit, we're ready. Maid, how are you doing? Welcome to the inaugural Dialogue Tree Awards. Let's take that first sip of the bubbly. I'm gonna be totally honest, that's not bad. Like, I thought that would be worse than it was. That's not bad. That's not bad. Hold on. Let's go in for a second one. Now, I have had a fucking headache for the past 2 goddamn days. So I want you all to genuinely appreciate the effort I'm going through to make this goddamn award show for you. Because I'm drinking champagne, which means I can't take fucking headache medicine. I think it's like 4 hours or something like that. I don't know. How long do you have to wait? It was called Mookie's Last Christmas by Sausen. You wouldn't like it. Probably not. Hold on. How long after drinking alcohol to take ibuprofen? 4 to 6 hours, I was right. So yeah, I have to wait 4 to 6 hours to take headache medicine for you people. Who's Mookie? I have no clue. The person whose Last Christmas the song is about. So you fucking appreciate the showmanship, alright? So, yeah, obviously we have to do a dialogue tree one. Excuse me. Because John is fucking dead. And so he is not going to appear on the Dialogue Tree Awards. I guess unless he calls in. I guess we still have call-ins. I guess I should probably sign into the Discord in case anyone wants to call in and yell at me in the middle of this. Fuck it. Why not? But anyway. Other than that, I watched Dirty Pair Project Eden. Is that somehow different than the regular Dirty Pair? Excuse me. Yeah, anyway, your call-ins welcome during the awards ceremony. If you want, you could even present an award. Ooh, how fun would that be? It's a movie. Okay. It's like a sequel movie or something. Apparently John's trying to come back or something. He's, like, announced his, like, return stream 3 times. I peek in on his Discord every now and again. Don't tell him shh. And, like, he keeps rescheduling it, which is hilarious to me because I don't have to deal with that problem anymore. That is the first fucking cup of the bubbly. Excuse me. It's edited like a music video. Oh, that actually sounds terrible. That sounds like borderline unwatchable. Like, you shouldn't do that for movies. I will also have you know that I ate fucking fancy before this. I made a nice steak. Made a nice medium rare steak. It was medium. I'm lying to you. It was medium. I made a nice medium steak. It was a pretty decent steak. I wish it had a little more steak flavor. I'm not sure how to get more steak flavor into a steak. Maybe cook it a little less. I'm not really sure. But it was pretty good as far as steaks go. A little bit of blood in it, surprisingly enough. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the, like, pink juice... Wattsman? I wouldn't be surprised if the OST was made first and they made the movie to accompany it. I've seen that happen before. The pink juice in steaks is not blood. It's myoglobin. They actually drain out all of the blood for steaks, usually. And when I cooked it, I had just a little bit of actual blood in there. You can tell because it's a much darker red color. What is this? What am I looking at? Yeah, I see. That sounds really unhealthy. Oh, the little bit of blood. It's probably safe, but I decided not to eat the part with the actual blood in it. So, Mac Tier, what is going on? Welcome to the inaugural Dialogue Tree Awards. How are you doing? We've got a suit. We've got a poorly tied tie, which took me so long that the whole fucking stream was delayed by like an hour. Just an hour of me getting to only this level, because I'm so famously bad at ties. We've got genuine champagne. We're fancy as fuck tonight, alright? We're doing this right. Now, I think it's time we introduce our categories so we all know what's happening. Now, of course, the nominees were announced on Discord. I'm sure you've all given them a look over. And I'm sure you all have already picked your favorites. But let's just assume that everyone ignored that. Just on the off chance it happened. All right, and let's properly announce our categories. Our categories for this year are worst movie that I watched. Now, keep in mind, whatever. Worst movie of the year. Movie of the year. Then we've got best soundtrack for video games. Every other fucking criteria is video games. Best visuals. Best gameplay. Best story. Worst game of the year. And, of course, the most prestigious award in video games, the Dialogue Tree Awards Game of the Year. You get that fucking gold star on your award, you know you've made it as a video game. The best award show, yes. The award show where the host almost said the name of a different award show. Now that we have our nominees announced. It is time to maybe get into a little bit of a detail. As a reminder, the nominees are chosen from whatever movies or games I played last year. It would be last year. It would be in 2023, specifically from the Cold Topic Awards onward, right? So from the Cold Topic Awards all the way till now, that's where we're picking our nominees from. I actually did look at the nominees, I'll have you know. Oh, well, someone, I'm sure everyone did, mate. I'm sure 100% of the people in the Discord looked at those nominees. Yeah. Third champagne. So now that we know where the nominees are being chosen from, oh yeah, and I had to have talked to them about them on a podcast. So this is going to be the only year for the Dialogue Tree Awards where there's any overlap with Cold Topic, probably. Yeah, unless Cold Topic comes back for a one-off episode, scare style, like I suggested that one time. But in the future, it's just going to be from... It'll just be chosen from Dialogue Tree. But Cold Topic overlap on this. So as long as I talked about it on either of those two shows, we're golden. We're Gucci. I'm a little over to the right, so I'm going to move my little standing stand. All right, who's ready to actually start? Now, this year, we have the nominees for Worst Movie of the Year. We have Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. Still a better host than Jeff Knightley? Who the fuck is Jeff Knightley? We have Death Proof. We have Morbius. And we have Wonder Woman, 1984. Now, as we say all the time, it is a dishonor to even be nominated. If you're on this list, fuck you, you were a bad movie. The Game Awards guy, that's fucking, if true, disappointing, because I am like 3-4 glasses of champagne in already, and we have just got to our first fucking nominees. So, I'm sure everyone has a favorite. I'm sure everyone has a least favorite. But, without any further ado, normally I would talk about why things are on the list. So I should probably do that. Look, it's the inaugural, alright? We got a little kinks to work out, alright? Legend of Ron Burgundy was a comedy movie I didn't think was funny. That is why that is on the list. Next up, we got Death Proof. This is a Tarantino movie where Tarantino just embraces his love of grindhouse films. You spend most of the movie with a small group of girls, and then they all die, and it's incredibly boring. But the final 10 minutes of the movie, pretty fucking stellar, actually. Last I heard, everyone sped through the award speeches, even though having a sign that said speed it up before people had a chance to speak, but Kojima got to talk for fucking minutes on end. That I have heard. We have Morbius, which coupled a really stupid plot with and really weirdly directed scenes. Ugh, excuse me, fuck. With some gammy-ass CG. And we have Wonder Woman 1984, a movie with a bizarrely rapey plot that just sort of goes off on tangents and just isn't very interesting. So, we all have a movie. We all know where this is going. I think it's ready to kick us into Worst Movie of 2023. And the winner is... Should I have sound effects for this? Do we need sound effects? We don't need... Do we need sound effects? We don't need sound effects, right? Just imagine a drum going boom, ba 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 ba. Actually, you know what? That's more amusing if I go ba 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 ba. Bo! Nope, that was wrong. I'm an idiot. I'm not even drunk yet. Boom! The winner is Anchorman. Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. You fucked up. I'm still sober. It's the worst part about this. Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy has won. Congratulations, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, for being the worst movie of 2023. Congratulations. Yes, everyone give it up. People fucking love this movie. For some reason, go make a prayer list and get super... just get extra sober. Watch this go more on the rails, the like drunker I get, right? I just didn't like this movie very much. It was a comedy movie. I didn't find it particularly funny. I like that movie. You know what? A lot of people like this movie. So the thing about this is that, like, I don't hate any of these movies, to be honest. I think my crop of bad movies to choose from this year as opposed to last year was just, like, so much more solid. Like, the worst thing I can say about Legend of Ron Burgundy is just I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't think it was that funny. Like, I didn't, like, hate it. I didn't throw a fucking chair across the room. I didn't learn the name of every actor involved in it. It's just like, I did not care for this film. And so it's like, I don't know. I know a lot of people are really fucking mad. I can tell you the worst fucking movie I watched last year was Belle. Animated movies do not qualify. Maybe next year we'll bring in anime. I considered bringing in anime. I considered bringing in web series, and I considered TV shows. I considered a few more topics now that we're not constrained by having John on. But I had like one day. I had a singular day to make all the assets for this fucking stream. So we did not have time to add additional topics. I'm not used to whatever. No, that's fair. That's totally fair. But yeah, so, like, people really hate Wonder Woman 1984 and Morbius, and they're not good movies by any metric, but they're fine. Like, they're whatever. A lot of these movies are, like, at worst, blasé. Death Proof is, honestly, I would argue, worse than Morbius or Wonder Woman 1984. At least those kept me passively entertained. Death Proof was just awful the whole way through. And theoretically, I think, by and large, I probably enjoyed it, on average, less than Anchorman. The only issue with Death Proof is that, like, the last 10 minutes are fucking gold. Honestly. If it wasn't for the last 10 minutes, you would be seeing Death Proof as a winner. So it's a close race, but we have to give it to Anchorman. Anyway, if I have a little more time next year, maybe we'll do some anime or something. Yeah, I don't know. Y'all let me know. Anyway, that was it for the worst of the year. Remember, it was dishonor to even be nominated. Go ahead and close that up. And now we're going to get on to the final of the movie categories, because, believe it or not, I always say I don't watch a lot of movies, but I watched a good amount of movies in 2023. I almost watched as many movies as I played video games. As crazy as it sounds. So we almost could have done the same thing for the movie category that we did for the video game category. But I'm going to be totally honest, most of the nominees would just be the Fast and the Furious franchises. So do we really want that to happen? So we're going to go ahead to our nominees for Movie of the Year. Our nominees for Movie of the Year are Too Fast, Too Furious. Can you guess which number of the Fast and Furious franchise this is? That's right. It's the third one. We've got Django Unchained. We've got Pulp Fiction. And we have a foreign film sneaking its way in to the nominees. We have an Indian film, RRR. Now, of course, Too Fast, Too Furious is possibly the best of the Fast and Furious franchise, which is hilarious because it's the only one without Vin Diesel in it. So there you go. We have Django Unchained, starring, God, I'm going to make an ass of myself and say Jamie Foxx, directed by Quentin Tarantino, about a Was he a slave? He was a slave. He starts the movie as a slave. As a former slave who is trying to get back the love of his life from a plantation owner played by Leonardo DiCaprio. We have Pulp Fiction, a movie that I feel like needs no introduction, starring, I want to say, John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, and Bruce Willis. And we have RRR, an Indian film from Tollywood starring the two highest paid actors in all of India and the highest, directed by the highest paid director also in all of India, collaborating in a fucking super film. Vin Diesel's best movie is a short film he made about how hard it is to get into acting work when you're mixed race. Vin Diesel's mixed race? Oh, Vin Diesel. Right, I was thinking of Bruce Willis for some. My brain was still on Pulp Fiction. All right. So, as always, I have Too Fast, Furious, Django Unchained, Pulp Fiction, RR, all great movies. Genuinely would probably recommend every single one of them. Honestly, if you haven't checked any of these films out, go watch them. You want to see Vintage? A little bit. Maybe post it in Discord though. Maybe not the perfect time for it. So, I think, without any further ado, it's time to drain some more champagne! What are we on, glass 5? Glass 5 of champagne? Excuse me. What's the alcohol content of this? I have to go to work tomorrow. This has fresh notes of pear and lemon. That's pretty cool. How much am I fucking drinking? It says it's somewhere. I think it's a wine, so it's got to be like what, 10%? 10.5 by volume. That's actually kind of less than I normally drink with the vodka. I'm a little more, honestly, I'm a little less worried about the alcohol than I am the fucking phosphates and sulfur that are in a fucking wine, to be honest. It's not even like the alcohol. I am getting tipsy, though. I have to work tomorrow, so let's hope I don't get too fucked up tonight, alright? Let's hope I have plenty of time to sober up. Anyway, what were we doing? Movie of the year is what we're but this is a sparkling white wine made. Also, I don't understand that. I like wine. I mean, it depends on the type of wine. I'm more of a red wine person, but as far as white wine goes, honestly, I kind of vibing with the champagne right now. Anyway, I would recommend all of these movies, but which one would I recommend the most? Which movie is going to win Movie of the Year, the most prestigious award in film, the Oscar? Get the fuck out of here, Academy Awards. It's all about the Dialogue Tree Awards. Excuse me, the smell is enough to make me gag. I don't have a sense of smell, as I've talked about many times, so that doesn't worry me at all. So, the winner is... It's RRR with a surprise upset from the foreign film. No one would have expected a foreign film to have won the fucking movie of the year, but as I have said, this is the greatest action movie I've ever seen in my fucking life. Over here, because it's mirrored. This is the greatest action movie I've ever... You know, honestly, if I mirror this, if I mirror my own webcam, it would be so much easier. It would be so much easier. Should I mirror my webcam? Would that be an improvement or a... We're going to try this for just a little bit. We're going to try mirroring my webcam. We're going to flip for... No, that was not what I wanted to do. Let's be honest, this is why people fucking come here. Alright, here. Alright, tell me what you think about the flipped webcam. Maybe we'll start flipping webcams from now on. Anyway. Fun fact, because mirrors do this exact thing when you look into them, right? So what you're looking at is the sack that Sack sees when Sack looks into a mirror, rather than the sack that you see when you look at Sack's webcam whenever Sack bothers to put on a webcam. So how fucking crazy is that, right? That's pretty weird. The only thing I've noticed is this means I'm going to be looking to the left a lot more, because I normally look at chat on my right, which is accurate, but whatever. Here, what the fuck ever. Anyway, all these movies are great. RRR is the best movie of all these movies here. Absolutely love it. I will say this, and I will say two things about this. We have a nomination snub as far as movies of the year go, because I already made all of these assets. And after I'd already made all these assets, I was trying to remember who I nominated for movie of the year. And in my brain, I was like, well, yeah, it was like Too Fast, Too Furious, Django Unchained, Pulp Fiction, RRR. And then I'm like, wait, didn't you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once? Then I'm like, I did watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I forgot to nominate it. So technically Everything Everywhere All at Once should totally have been a nominee. So we have received, in our inaugural words, our first fucking nominee snub. If I were to replace something with Everything Everywhere All at Once, it would actually be Too Fast, Too Furious. So be aware of that, I guess. What if everything was already reversed? Which world would be the real world? Would it be the mirror world or the real world? Maybe the reflection we see is real. Ever thought of that? Isn't that just freaking you out? Isn't that just wet crap? I'm blowing your mind, man. And you know the weird part is, I'm not even high. Not a bit. Totally sober. Anyway, Too Fast, Too Furious would probably have been replaced with Everything Everywhere All at Once. So there we go. We have a snub. It wouldn't have won against RRR, but I think it probably deserves the respect of a nomination, which is why I'm bringing it up right now. Now, I will say Too Fast, Too Furious is, I went through all of the lists of the podcasts and all the movies I talked about, and Too Fast, Too Furious is the Fast and the Furious movie I remember liking, without having to look up the plot or what happened in it. So there might actually have been better Fast and the Furious movies, but the reason that this one specifically scored the nomination is because it was the one I remembered the most. And in a way, I think being the most memorable of the good Fast and the Furious movies also kind of means that it deserves the nomination the most. Because even if you end up enjoying one in a stupid way even more, I think coming away from the movie with the knowledge of what happened in it is probably equally important. Django Unchained's a fantastic movie, don't get me wrong, it was really good, but where this really came down to was an internal debate, and there was a debate, to be clear, between Pulp Fiction and RRR. I ended up going with RRR just because, I mean, it's such a good fucking movie. Like I said, it's genuinely the best action movie I've ever seen in my life. I would highly recommend it. I believe it is on Netflix, if you have a Netflix subscription. And it is worth noting that I feel like a lot of people, if not most people, have probably seen Pulp Fiction. So I also think it's good to give credit to, like a foreign film like RRR, which I just highly recommend. It's also a movie about fighting the British Empire, and fuck the British Empire. There's pretty much only 3 groups of people in all of history that everyone can universally agree sucked. That is the British Empire, the Nazis, and the fucking Genghis Khan's horde. Nobody likes any of them. And it's fucking free real estate on all of them. And RRR is about fighting the British Empire, baby. And fucking, I don't even think the British like the British Empire because they were shitheads back then. So there you go. Been a while since I've seen that F&F movie. It's pretty good. I remember it being pretty fucking good. Like it's funny but comedic but action packed. The characters have good arcs in it. It's actually a solid watch. I don't think it was the best Fast and the Furious movie. I think the one where they fight the tank might have been the best Fast and the Furious movie, which I think is like 4. I remember 4 being good. 3 was bad except for the last race. The last race is the best in 3, but Tokyo Drift is not a fucking watchable movie outside of the last. Honestly, I think you could probably look up the last 5 minutes of Tokyo Drift and get a better experience than watching Tokyo Drift. 4 I remember being pretty good. 5 I think was 5 was when they were about to give up. And then 6 I think was pretty good. So I definitely recommend 2, 4, and 6. And one. One was actually a good movie, but one was when the Fast and Furious franchise pretended to be a film series. So. Okay. We're on glass 6 of the champagne. Tokyo Drift is pretty boring, except for the final race. But I feel like you could just watch the final race, yeah? So, alright, moving on. Too Fast, Too Furious caused Everything Everywhere All at Once to get snubbed, and RRR would have won no matter what, so it doesn't matter that much to me. Are we ready to move on to the video game portion of the podcast, or the soundtrack? I've drank almost an entire bottle already. We have not even finished. We're gonna have problems. Bump bow, bump bow, bump bow. It's random dancing. We're gonna go on to the video game portion. This is the portion that everyone wants to see. Now, as I revealed secretly last time, a behind-the-scenes peek, I actually have video game awards organized, excuse me, based on what I believe is the least important factor of making a good video game to the most important factor of making a good video game. It's totally an opinion piece, and I'm not saying that any of these parts of making anything that receives award, I'm not saying is unimportant. In fact, I would say the opposite, because I feel the need to give it an award in the first place. So, we have Best Soundtrack for 2023. I forgot to turn off Movie of the Year. I actually wasn't sure why that was going. Okay, Best Soundtrack for 2023. We have Fire Emblem Engage. We have Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix. We have Lobotomy Corporation. And we have Pokemon Scarlet. Now, the most fun thing... You're only saying that because I'm more musically inclined than you. As someone who's not big into music, I do generally find the soundtrack to be the least important aspect of a game. Unless it's like a dancing game or a rhythm game, in which case I would argue it's like the second most important aspect of a game. Like, if we're talking like Just Dance or fucking Muse Muse or fucking like Persona 5 Dancing All Night, it becomes like instantaneously. Persona 5 Dancing All Night is not the name of that Persona 5 game, is it? It's Dancing Starlight or some shit like that. Whatever, who gives a fuck? Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Unless it's a game specifically based on music. Drakengard is, I think, a special exception also. Just because the toners are all about singing. If you were to make a Lord of the Rings game, soundtrack would be pretty important too, because singing is such an important key component of the Middle-earth lore. But like 90% of the games, the soundtrack is probably the least important part of video game construction, is what I will say. I'm not saying it's a not important part, which is exactly why it gets its own award. A not important part is how much I like the character's shoes. And we're not awarding best shoes, are we? That doesn't get its own award, but best soundtrack does. So, best soundtrack I would consider to be the least important part of the most important. Of all of the important aspects, I would consider soundtrack important, but best soundtrack is the least important of the things that are actually important. Anyway, here's a fun fact about the Best Soundtrack Award. I don't remember who won this. So I'm going to be just as surprised as you are when I give this award out. I don't remember who won. But I'm sure fucking someone did. Woo, boy! Alright. Fire Emblem Engage was a hastily thrown together game designed to celebrate Fire Emblem's like 20th anniversary, but I think they still missed the 20th anniversary of Fire Emblem by like 3 fucking years. Fire Fantastic soundtrack, though. Honestly. Like, genuinely really fucking good soundtrack. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix almost seems like it's cheating being on this list, just because it's basically just the best of the Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2 soundtrack, with one or two pretty damn good tracks of its own added on. Lobotomy Corporation is a fun little Korean indie game with a terrible translation that made me a goddamn nervous wreck to play. But dear God, does its soundtrack fucking slap, my dog? And of course, Pokemon's on here because, frankly, Pokemon would basically make it every year because Pokemon soundtrack just does not miss and has not missed for the past 10 years. Possibly longer. Honestly, at least since fucking Diamond and Pearl. So yeah, Pokemon soundtrack hasn't missed for like 20 years, right? So Pokemon was always going to make it on this list. So, Best Soundtrack Award. By the way, I think I remember who fucking won this. Best Soundtrack Award. Are we ready? I'm sure you have your favorite. I'm sure I do too. Here we go. Remember, this is soundtrack. This is not sound design. This probably should be sound design, though. I actually considered this. See, I already had the assets for Best Soundtrack, and I didn't want to make any more assets, because remember, I had one day to make all of this. So I think I did pretty damn good. Which is also why I didn't fix the fucking Everything Everywhere All at Once versus Too Fast, Too Furious issue. But anyway, yeah, I really think I should probably change soundtrack out for sound design, because that really opens it up to games that just have, like, excellent sound design, like horror games and stuff, that don't necessarily have the sort of, like, music you'd put on and just bop to. Also, fun fact about the Best Soundtrack, instead of going through every fucking game that I played soundtrack, I did this real review style. I have a playlist where I keep video game songs that I enjoy, and I pulled up all of the songs from every game I'd played, and I just, like, played them, and I was like, which one of these games has the best series of songs, like, has the most songs and the best songs overall? And that was how this was decided, as well as a few other hidden criteria that I will be not telling you until the end of the stream. But anyway, moving on to the best soundtrack of 2023. Done! It's Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix, combining the best of the music of Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, two games with fantastic soundtracks. You might be thinking to yourself, Sack, that seems like it's fucking cheating. And to be totally honest with you, it is a little bit. And I'm gonna be totally honest, when I gave it the award for best soundtrack, part of me was like, should it even count? Can you, like, does it count if you have the best soundtrack? Who won Game of the Year? We haven't gotten to Game of the Year yet, Pache, but welcome, Pache. How are you doing? I'm in a suit with a poorly tied tie that took me an hour to tie, which is why the stream is on so late, drinking actual champagne. How are you doing? Been a while. Haven't seen you around here in a while. That's Glass 6. You're gonna fucking hate Worst Of, by the way. Anyway, yeah, I actually had a genuine debate on whether fucking Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep should even be eligible, because it doesn't so much have its own soundtrack as it just jacked the soundtracks of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, which are both fantastic soundtracks, but it seems a little cheat that it doesn't have its own genuine OST. Do I need to teach you how to tie? Pache, I'm going to be straight up with you. Please. Fucking please do. God, am I bad at it. I am a fucking nightmare. But yeah, Fire Emblem Engage, I remember, was definitely a legitimate contender. Lobotomy Corporation's actual, I think, worst part about it is that, like, you don't fucking hear the soundtrack ever, because if you're doing a good job, you won't hear the soundtrack, because it just, in my opinion, remakes shouldn't be eligible. I think that's totally valid. Like I said, I had it wasn't even necessarily that it was a remake. It was the issue that it combined the soundtracks of two other games, right? It had very few of its own unique songs, and that's where I was a little dicey on it. Should have gotten a clip-on. I don't own a clip-on. Maybe I should get a clip-on. Maybe that would be smarter. Maybe I wouldn't have this issue every year. I've been around because you start streaming at like 4 a.m. here. That's fair. I stream super late for me, too. I just try and get it in when I can because I just don't have time anymore, and I am very sorry about that. As for Pokemon Scarlet's got one or two bangers, but I would actually argue that as far as modern Pokemon games go from, like, the past, like, 15 years, Pokemon Scarlet's actually probably one of the weaker soundtracks. I would also argue as far as a game goes, Pokemon Scarlet's probably weaker overall. Excuse me, not counting Sword and Shield, but hey, that's just me. Anyway, moving on from Best Soundtrack. We have got Best Visuals. And our nominees for Best Visuals, I don't fucking remember anymore. Our nominees for Best Visuals are Bravely Default 2, Fatal Frame, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, Fire Emblem Engage, and Hogwarts Legacy. Now, as a reminder, Best Visuals is a very general compilation topic. Including graphics, aesthetics, art style, character design, any element that you look at, I guess UI technically, but I'm going to be totally honest, I never considered including UI until this exact moment, so probably not UI, but it probably should be UI, now that I think about it. Anything you look at with your eyeballs counts as visual design. We have four very unique games here. Bravely Default 2, very stylized, which I praised for its surprisingly good facial animation despite its chibi art style. Fatal Frame 4, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, continuing Fatal Frame's history of just the most gorgeous of the women. Fire Emblem Engage, which I praised, of course, for its animation and its color design. And, of course, Hogwarts Legacy, which brings the lovely legacy of Hogwarts created by She Who Shall Not Be Named to life with, honestly, pretty stunning graphics. All very good looking games, but are all very on here for very different reasons. Also varying quality. I would argue 3 of these games are good, and I won't tell you which ones. So, we have about this much left in this bottle of champagne. If we have not finished it by the end of the night, it will be a travesty of justice. So, I think the story of Hogwarts is very mid, but the graphics are on point. See? You understand. Yeah, I will say as far as story-wise, because I think I posted the nominees, I'm pretty sure Hogwarts Legacy is not a story nominee. I felt myself more entertained by doing side quests in Hogwarts Legacy than I did the main quest. I didn't give a shit about the main quest, but just being a student in Hogwarts was actually pretty fun, and the game looks fucking fantastic, which is why I got nominated. So, if we're ready for Best Visuals, which I'm actually pretty sure I remember which one won, we have... How many awards have BG3 won so far? None. Actually, they haven't been nominated for any, but this is actually the second award. I fucked up. That's fuck up 4 for you, mate. I turned off the categories. No, shit. Fuck. I'm clicking the wrong button. I'm drunk now. We have Fire Emblem Engage. Yes. Whoops. There we go. Fire Emblem Engage. Yeah. Honestly, all of these games look fantastic. Like I said, what genuinely impressed me about Bravely Default 2, shit, fuck, crack doo-doo, is the fact that, like, they managed to get such dynamic facial animation in such a limited art style, excellent character design, and a little bit ghost design in Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, and Hogwarts Legacy looks fantastic, honestly, just, like, visually. But the reason Fire Emblem Engage won for me isn't necessarily the character design, it's the fucking stellar animation and use of color. And we all know if you just do your color well, I'll probably just give it to you. We all know I'm a fucking slut for color. I'm a fucking color slut. So obviously Fire Emblem Engage, which looks like a fucking Switch controller vomited all over it, was gonna win. But honestly, like, so long as we're talking like visually, the fact that it has like dynamic combat animations based on where the characters are and what's happening to them, it looks beautiful. Like, it also has a really good soundtrack, for the record. But like it genuinely, where's the bottom of the barrel is? The worst of, like I said, you are not going to be happy with the worst of awards, Pache. But it does exist. I gotta show you something later. Absolutely, go for it. But yeah, no, it looks really good. Honestly, it's also one of the games I would probably recommend. It's not the best game on here. I would say, arguably, the best game to play on here is probably Hogwarts Legacy, followed by Bravely Default 2. Fatal Frame 4, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse is actually, I would say, probably the worst game on here. And even that's just mid. Like, it's good until it just suddenly isn't, because it just loses the fucking plot. But yeah, there you go. Best visuals. Fire Emblem Engage. Because I like Fire Emblem. There you go. It really is the dynamic animations, though. I like, as far as like visuals go, this is the only game where, as I was playing, outside of Bravely Default 2, the entire time I was just stunned by how good it looks. So, moving on. We have the best gameplay category, because we all know my belief that story is usually slightly more important than gameplay. Not that gameplay is not important, because obviously I placed it all the way up here well over other categories. So, best gameplay, we have Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Fire Emblem Fates Conquest, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, a Final Mix, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Alright, now of course Deus Ex Mankind Divided is the sequel to Deus Ex Human Revolution, a game I absolutely love. Fire Emblem Fates Conquest is of course the conquest route of Fire Emblem Fates, which was split into 3 games because Nintendo are a group of fucking assholes. To me, it depends on the game. Some games, gameplay is more important, others, story more. I actually fully agree with you on that. I used to say that story was more important, and I think if I were to actually boil it down at the end of the day, I think I prioritize story slightly more, but I would actually argue that the two categories are probably so close together, that like, I would argue that the categories are so close together that they almost don't matter. Like, I almost couldn't place one over the other. Which would make sense because they're both fundamental components of a video game. I think I'm more willing to forgive bad gameplay if the story is good than I'm willing to forgive a bad story if the gameplay is good. But if you have good enough gameplay, I don't give a fuck about your story, is kind of the thing. So, like, it can kind of go both ways. So I'm not as hardline as story is over gameplay as I used to be. Like, I get both, and I have played games just because I fucking like playing the game. So I can't fault either answer, and I'm not even sure I fully believe my own statements anymore. The gameplay of Vampire Successors, but I have no idea what the story is, if any exists. No, I get that. I do get that. I don't think I'm allowed a preference because I described how Barkura profile works, and I said, anyway, the game is fucking awesome, which is actually looking like... Anyway, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which has, I have described probably my favorite gameplay of any Kingdom Hearts game, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which allows so much freedom and choice in how the player approaches problems. You can solve problems with a complicated robot or a big fucking bridge. It doesn't matter. It's actually a lot like Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and that it's sort of like a simulation game in that regard. Like, it's sort of like a reality sim. And I like that about it. So, look, we can't get through a topic without me finishing some champagne. What if the gameplay services the storytelling? Oh, that's fucking top tier. Then you're doing it correctly. Honestly. Most people make it... I actually never did that. No, I mean, honestly, if the story services the gameplay, then you're just doing it right. Like, that's theoretically how you would make the optimal video game. If I were to say which one of these games has the gameplay service the story the most, which is not how this award is structured. But if I were to say it's Deus Ex Mankind Divided, probably hands down. Like, that's the one that probably does that specific aspect the best. That's like Champagne Glass 7. We're going to finish the champagne before we even get through the categories. All right. So, winner for best gameplay is Sack my stomach cramps. Don't worry, I have water next to me, and I ate a whole steak specifically to filter out the poison I am putting inside of me. I turned off the categories. Again, that's mistake 5. Oh god, that was real. The winner is Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. That's not super a surprise if you know the background politics that I will explain at the end of the stream. But yeah. So it really only came down to Fire Emblem Fates Conquest and Deus Ex Mankind Divided. And the truth is, Deus Ex Mankind Divided probably had fantastic gameplay, because it had some very similar gameplay to Human Revolution, which is also pretty damn good. The big thing is I remember Conquest for its gameplay. Not for its story, necessarily. But for its gameplay, I definitely remember it for. And which is some of the, like, most extreme hardcore, complicated levels with interesting, conflicting mechanics of any of the fucking, Fire Emblem games. Like, as far as we're talking, like, level mechanics for a strategy game, Conquest is fucking fantastic. Deus Ex, of course, deserves its placement because of its strategy sim elements. But I don't super remember how well these were incorporated. If anything, I would almost argue that fucking outside of, like, the DLC, Human Revolution might have even done a better job of it. Birth by Sleep Final Mix is pretty damn good as far as its gameplay elements go and how it integrates its command signal, its commands. But it was really held back by all of the bullshit you have to do in order to unlock certain commands and just the fucking minigames. Maze Caspis mockery. As for, like, Tears of the Kingdom, the freedom you have to approach is fucking fantastic. And at the end, I could almost see it winning, if not for some backroom politics. But I really do genuinely love Conquest's level mechanics and how you have to approach the strategy elements of each thing. Like, Fire Emblem Fates Conquest is the game where I think I realized I just genuinely like strategy games and approaching things from sort of a tactical view. You might enjoy DDD. Might have to check it out, honestly. Yeah, Fire Emblem Fates is the game where I realized I might just be a Fire Emblem fan. What do we got here?
You fucked up. Not that. You fucked up. You fucked up.
What? I fucked up? Who was supposed to win, maid? Oh, you're talking about when I turned off the thing. Yeah, that's true. I did fuck up. You're right. Yeah, Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. Pretty fucking solid. Very bad, as Maid apparently learned, for your first Fire Emblem game, though. Because this game is fucking hard. It's so This is the hardest Fire Emblem game I've ever played. So, yeah, maybe don't start with that. Maybe start with literally anything else. Maybe start with a game that was created this fucking century.
Oh, God, I'm pathetic. Sorry, just go. You want the rest of the champagne?
No, it's pronounced champagne.
Oh, God, no.
It's not a big deal.
I get so lonely.
If I remember to call what I am drinking champagne the rest of the stream, I will be happy as I take another sip of my champagne. I'm fucking drunk. I am just shit-faced drunk right now. All right, next up is the best... I can just barely read. Next up is best story. I have all of Future... Yo, I love Futurama. Do you have the new season? They're making new seasons. What just happened? There we go. Best story, which includes narration, narrative, characters, plot, probably some other bullshit. Background lore, I think. Yeah, anything that can be considered the story of the video game is best story. So, for our nominees, we have Bravely Default 2 with its second nomination. Fire Emblem Fates Revelation, which is technically a different game than Conquest. Pokemon Scarlet. And Tales of Berseria with its first appearance. Pokemon in Best Story. Remember, it includes characters, which is why it's on here. Because the story of Scarlet, like the plot of Scarlet was pretty mid, but it's mostly on here for its characters. Bravely Default 2 had a fairly mediocre story as well. It's pretty bog standard for an RPG, but I remember the cast being so lovable, so relatable, and so goddamn likable. Fire Emblem Fates Revelation is in here for the same fucking reason, if we're being totally honest. The plot is pretty goddamn mediocre, but it combines the casts of both Conquest and the casts of Birthright and allows those characters to interact with each other in a way that actually makes the Birthright characters more likable, because they never would have been by themselves. Pokemon Scarlet has a very mediocre story as well, but I can't fault any of its side casts like Penny or Nimona or Arvin, or even the sort of relationship with Professor Sarda or Director Calvel, or even the plot with Team Star. All fantastic characters interacting together, all very likable, all very memorable, especially Nimona. Man, do I love Nimona. And of course, Tales of Berseria, which manages to tie itself pretty well to its sequel game, which is not a very good game, but it manages to fucking make it work. And in Tales of Berseria's defense, maybe you should break up the awards giving best story and best characters. So the reason best story and best characters are different awards was actually a leftover from the Cold Topic Awards when we did the Cold Topic Awards, because John did not play enough video games to make them separate awards. He just didn't. He did not play a lot of video games. And so that's the reason they became the same award, and basically we have the same award categories as then, and I had to make all of these assets in one day. So I didn't have enough time to separate the awards. In the future, I think creating a few more categories would definitely be beneficial. I think separating story from characters would definitely be a good idea for sure. I agree with you on that. I think there should also be a category for TV shows, and maybe a few anime categories, just because I have the freedom to do that without having to be held back by John's lack of anime watching. So I do agree with you, Pache, that I think they should be separate. But for this specific award ceremony, they are specifically the same category, just because I did not have time to make them different categories. So forgive me on that. Anyway, Tales of Berseria, the worst thing is about its story are specifically related to its sequel, and it has a very solid cast of characters that, if I were to say a cast of characters that I feel like are actually genuinely friends, despite the fact that the Tales of Berseria characters claim to all hate each other, Tales of Berseria characters feel like they are the most friends out of any fucking video game I've ever played. Very well developed, very well explored, obviously deserves its place on this list. So that's champagne glass number 8, I think. My brain tells me I need to stop drinking. Like, that's what my brain says. My brain is like, that was good. You've done it. You drank all you should. All right, pouring more champagne. Champagne. You could also have a best cast award for game that has good character interactions and stuff. I'm not sure why that would be different than best characters, though. Unless you're saying, like, give individual characters an award, which isn't a terrible idea. And then have... Should we move on to tequila? I don't know what tequila is. Did I not present this award? Fuck, I'm drunk. Don't worry, we only have this much of the champagne left. Alright, who's gonna win this award? I don't know. Someone, though. Dude! I did it again. I did it again. I fucking did it again, dude. I fucking did it again. Best character is in a single character. Best cast is in a group of characters. That's a good idea. If I remember to do that, maybe we'll do that. The biggest issue I see with doing a best character, as in a specific character, is that I would have to get an image of that character. Which might actually be harder than you'd expect. Because believe it or not, creating the fucking award images for these is actually harder than you think. And even then, I don't feel particularly satisfied with how they come out. But, like, best cast is definitely should be its own category. I fully agree. I even considered that while making it and was like, bitch, you don't have time to make new categories. Shut the fuck up. Oh yeah. It's Tales of Berseria. Tales of Berseria wins the best story category. The best story of all of these, I have decided, which includes narrator, narrative, narration, and characters and lore, is Tales of Berseria. Now, you could argue that it seems a little bullshit to use a prequel, but I would argue that Tales of Berseria is so head and shoulders above its fucking predecessor. That was an ad. You'll never know. I'll turn it off right now, and you'll never fucking know who won. It was so head and shoulders above its fucking competitor, above its fucking sequel, that it deserves this award. Bravely Default 2 it was good, but I feel like it never lived up to the potential of Bravely Second, and fucking, I really should turn the winner back on. And Fire Emblem Fates was good, but honestly, if anything, it was probably held down by its mediocre plot line and the Birthright cast, even though we got to see their interaction. Pokemon Scarlet had a relatively mediocre story outside of its excellent cast, whereas if we were to pick which one of these that I felt like was firing on all cylinders, it was Tales of Berseria easily. Not just like the characters and the cast and the connections to the lore and how well it managed to connect to Tales of Zestria, but also the journey that the characters go on. And even though I don't find the main character, who I want to say his name is Velvet, but I'm a little drunk at this point, like personal ending to her journey necessarily satisfying, I do think that the journey up until the ending was particularly well done. And so, and watching the cast come together to become friends was excellent. So I would definitely have to say Tales of Berseria, well-deserved as best story for 2023. Now the controversial category. This is the category where everyone shits on old poor Sack for making. Everyone will be like, Sack, what the fuck? You're an... I spilled the fucking champagne on myself! I have to go wash off some champagne. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I've returned to give you the Worst Game of the Year awards. Remember, it's a dishonor to even be nominated. This year, for the Worst of awards, we have Baldur's Gate 3, Dying Light, Mega Man Battle Network, and Resident Evil 6, aka Giraffe Blowjob. I need more champagne. We have depleted the champagne. This is the last glass of champagne. So, Baldur's Gate 3 is, of course, on this list for having fucking god-awful villains. And fucking choices that don't actually matter, but they pretend to matter. But they really fucking don't. They don't fucking matter in the slightest. This podcast theme song should be You Fucked Up by Ween. Maybe it should be. And let's see. Dying Light is on there for being just, like, not fun and having a generic zombie plotline. Mega Man Battle Network. How do I describe Mega Man Battle Network? Mega Man Battle Network is on there for being a game that feels like it's the kind of game you give to your kid so it shuts the fuck up. But it's actually kind of so bad it still doesn't shut the fuck up. Is what Mega Man Battle Network's on there for. And Giraffe Blowjob is on here for just, like, what the fuck is Resident Evil 6 about? What the fuck is Resident Evil 6 even about? Like, the gameplay's, like, mediocre at best. Like, what the fuck is happening in this? It's just, it gets worse the longer you play it. Resident Evil 6 is on here because the more I play it, the more I don't like it. That's why Baldur's Gate 3 and fucking Mega Man Battle Network are on here, too. Is the longer I played it, the less I fucking liked it. Alright. Yeah, controversial. Probably most controversial because most people fucking love Baldur's Gate 3. And I put it on my worst stuff list. Try playing RE6 with keyboard and mouse. What the fuck did I play it with? Did I play it with keyboard and mouse? Does anyone remember? I imagine it was fucking god-awful. Probably could use more bolter punch. That was RE5. RE5 is fucking garbage. RE5 might be worse than RE6, frankly. Frankly, RE5 might be worse than RE6, but... if any of these, I would say the most controversial, because most people don't like RE6, I don't think that's controversial. Mega Man Battle Network, most people who I've talked to while playing it were like, yeah, it doesn't get to good until like 2 or 3. So they understand that. Dying Light, people fucking love, and I talked about it on the podcast, I'm like, I don't fucking get it. It's like, it's got okay movement mechanics, but its fucking story is fucking garbage, and I fucking hate the amount of zombies, and they spawn out of nowhere, and it's just endless, and it's fucking annoying. Baldur's Gate 3, I think, is the most probably controversial of all of these, because it's a lot of people's game of the year. And, like, I don't get it. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 has really good characters, but that's probably the only point I'm willing to give it. Did you say Capcom is updating their old games and adding DRM to fuck up mods? Yes! Fuck them for that. Honestly, it makes me reluctant to buy the RE4 remake. When I saw that, I'm like, shit, should I not buy the RE4 remake? What the fuck are they doing? Right? Like, it actually, like... It makes me reluctant to purchase their... I also haven't purchased Street Fighter 6 yet, which I normally would have. And it's like, ugh, maybe I should fucking hold off until they, like, chill their beans or something. No, I'm with you on that. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Absolutely fucking insane. But I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I will add a but. No, I mean, like it's really bad. Like they use a company called Enigma for their DRM services, which are probably like fucking Russian spies that are stealing your data. Like it's really like not only are they like fucking adding DRM, they're adding like really malicious DRM that registers as like Trojans and shit. Like it's fucking bad. I have seen that. It's a fucking nightmare. Like what the fuck is Capcom doing? Maybe I should give extra points for RE6 for just doing that in general. But, yeah, a lot of people really like Baldur's Gate 3, and, I liked, the thing is Act 1 is fucking fantastic. Russian should be German. Is it German, or, I thought it was Russian. It might be German. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I thought it was Russian. Act 1's fantastic, but that game goes so drastically downhill, and I've beaten it 4 times. So, Resident Evil in particular has a lot of nude mods, and the characters are modeled after real people, but gotten to the point that models have complained, so at the very least I can see why in that sense. It wasn't caused by that, it was caused... The Enigma machine was German. Oh, okay. Well, I'm wrong, I guess. Yeah, no, it drops frame rates between, like, 10 and 15 frames. What did you think of the bear scene? I didn't get the bear scene. The bear scene happens if you romance Helson, and I never romanced Helson. So I haven't seen the bear scene. I wouldn't care if there was a bear scene. I think a lot of the sex scenes in the game of Baldur's Gate 3 are, like, really fucking awkward, to be honest. I will say that in the patch I played, because I played it about a month or two after release, a lot of them... I don't know if they ever changed them and, like, toned them down from how sexualized they were originally. But... I will say a lot of them were relatively tame compared to even, like, some, like, BioWare sex scenes I've seen. Most video game sex scenes are awkward. The one that I remember distinctly going on for some fucking time is the one with, like, Manethra or something, like the Drow woman when you destroy the druids. Because, like, that sex scene lasts for a solid minute or two. And, like, they get into details. There's, like, oral sex involved. And I'm like, this is a lot. Like, this is a lot, and I was not ready for how fucking in-depth they were getting. But yeah, if I remember, the reason they got really fucking outraged about mods was because there was a Chun-Li nude mod that was shown in a tournament, and people were fucking outraged. What if people want to mod in nude mods? It should be up to them, not to Capcom. I'm sure the Enigma thing will just make people pirate more of their games so people can't mod it. Oh, it's a fucking terrible idea. Like the sex scenes in the room. To be honest, I don't remember the room all that well. I remember there were sex scenes in it, and I remember there were probably a fair few, but I don't remember the details too much. But yeah, the Baldur's Gate 3 sex scenes didn't bother me that much, to be honest. I never got the bear scene because I never romanced Helson. I romanced, like, vaguely Karlach, Shadowheart. I romanced the fuck out of Shadowheart. I romanced Shadowheart like multiple times. I like Shadowheart. Then I romanced the Githyanki. What's her name? Lizelle? I romanced Lizelle. Anyway. I think we can move on to who wins the Worst of the Year award, because I think at this point I've talked too much about the Worst of the Year awards, and you can probably already guess which one isn't going to lose, or isn't going to win the award at this point. So, moving on to the Worst of the Year, we have... It was Mega Man Battle Network. We all know it was Mega Man Battle Network. Mega Man Battle Network was the game that fucking killed viewer requests. So, like, I don't feel like there was any question. I don't feel like there was any question. Of course, no surprise with Mega Man. Of course, it was Mega Man. Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like as we were talking about like why Baldur's Gate 3 was on here, you found me like being like, man, I don't like these aspects of Baldur's Gate 3, and then you also occasionally found me praising Baldur's Gate 3, and I felt like it became pretty obvious that like Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't the fucking winner. If I were to say which game was the best on here, it was Baldur's Gate 3. It probably squeaked in barely. I actually, when I was playing it, thought it was gonna, because I had been playing the stream for a long time, I expected it to win, and then when I went through all of the games on the actual list, I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna even be nominated. Because every game on here is worse than Baldur's Gate 3. It just, like, squeaked by. It was actually a debate of whether it was even getting nominated. It was against, like, one other game. And part of me, I think, put it on here. Just, like, I would never admit this if I was sober, but like a small sliver, like 10% of me, just added Baldur's Gate 3 to worst of list for the controversy, and I'm ashamed of that. And I do think I probably enjoyed it marginally less than the thing it went over, but like part of the influence really was just for the controversy of nominating it for my worst of list, if I have to be honest. But yeah, I don't think anyone... I'd be shocked if it wasn't Mega Man. Yeah, considering Mega Man killed viewer request, I think everyone would have been surprised Mega Man... Like, I don't think this was a contest. I think everyone was, like, looks at this list and is like, oh, it's Mega Man. Mega Man wins. The sheer fucking rage Zach felt during Mega Man was fucking palpable. Agreed, but it shouldn't be up to Capcom what you do with your game and PC. I agree with both of you. As far as like the mod situation goes, I think you should have freedom to do whatever you can with your video games, but I do understand the idea that it's a little gross to make, like, considering some of the characters are so heavily modded after real people, it does feel a little in the, like, slew of sort of, like, God, I want to say revenge porn, but, like, you get exactly, I hope you get what I'm trying to say, where it feels almost like AI porn kind of thing, where it feels a little shady to make nude mods of actual people, but I will also say, like, apparently 3 different people, like, because the one that, like, really got to them, as far as, like, takedowns was concerned, was, like, the Ashley nude mods, and apparently Ashley's not just based on, like, one person, she's based on, like, 3 people. But the one that, like, resulted in the ORM was Chun-Li, who has been a character for longer than I've been alive, if we're being totally honest here. So the general consensus of why Capcom is slamming down on mods so hard is because they won't be able to sell, like, slutty costumes if modders can just make better slutty costumes. Like, it's, like, you can't give them too much credit because it is entirely 100% monetarily driven based on their inability to sell shitty DRM. Imagine DS1 on PC without mods. I have seen DS1 run on PC with mods, and it still involved a frame rate hitting 1 frame per second. So, no fucking thank you. We're about to finish a battle... we're about to finish a bottle of champagne. I did it. I drank a bottle of champagne. All right, are we ready for the most prestigious award in video games? Because I don't remember who I nominated anymore. And to be totally honest, I currently don't remember who won. So I'm going to be as surprised as you are. The most prestigious video game awards. We have the nominees for Game of the Year. It's Final Fantasy X, Kuon, Tales of Berseria, and The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Surprise hit with fucking From Software? With Kuon? Honestly, who would have ever thought From Software would have managed to get a Game of the Year award nominee? No. It absolutely did not. None of these games came out last year. Actually, Tears of the Kingdom is the only game that came out last year. Remember, the awards are comprised of games I played last year, not games that came out last year. It's all about when I played and talked about the games, not about when I actually when they actually came out. Final Fantasy X came out. I think the oldest game on here is Final Fantasy X older than Kuon. Have you played 10-2? Pache, I have 100%ed 10-2. Kuon came out in 2006, and FFX came out in 2001. Okay, so yeah, Final Fantasy X is actually the oldest game on here, but Kuon is also a PS2 game. Anyway, yeah, I have 100% of 10-2. 10-2, the go 120% to. No, I have done absolutely every single thing in 10-2. I have absolutely completed it. I used a guide because in 10-2 you have to. Because you have to, like, sleep at certain points in time. Like, they make you do that. Like, they make you go to bed. Like, they monitor your bed. 10-2 is a fucking mess. 10-2 would be a good game if it wasn't so specific how to reach 100% and get the good ending. Like, if 10-2 gave you more freedom, it would be a lot better. Like, because I don't think the dress sphere system and the combat were bad, and I don't think the story is necessarily terrible. It's like how Uber's... Like, 10-2 feels like a kind of game where, in order to get the true ending, you have to do exactly the playthrough that the developer did. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of where 10-2 falls apart. It is like how fucking strict it is. If it just let you play it as a video game, I think 10-2 would be a lot better of a game. We're not drinking alcohol anymore. We're drinking water because I ran out of alcohol. I actually didn't. I could keep drinking vodka or like coffee liquor, but I think everyone is aware that if I keep drinking alcohol, now that I have finished an entire bottle of wine in this one stream, that it would probably be hazardous to my health, and I should definitely not do that. So, anyway, Final Fantasy X is a very good JRPG. Some would argue the last good of the Final Fantasy games. I've heard good things about 16, but I've actually heard mixed things about 16. I've also heard some people praise 12, and those people are fucking wrong. Kuon is a FromSoft horror game. No one would have ever expected FromSoft to make my fucking Game of the Year list, but they goddamn did. Tales of Berseria, no need to introduce them. They've already won Best Story. And of course, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, a game I have praised to high heaven, which I have said does not actually, despite people claiming it does, have a better story than Breath of the Wild. It definitely, certainly does not. But it does have very good and innovative gameplay, and gives you the freedom to make your own choices and maneuver around the environment and tackle situations as you will. I am feeling so good. I'm like a little lizard. 9 was the last good one, in my opinion. I genuinely liked 10 enough to nominate it, but I will say that 9 I probably preferred to 10, but I didn't play 9 for the first time last year, so it wasn't even eligible. So, take that how you goddamn will. So we have a JRPG, a Japanese horror game, another JRPG, excuse me, and what a fucking reality sim, I think is what Tears of the Kingdom is. I don't know, like a reality sim adventure, well no, adventure games like point and clicks. A reality sim is what we have for Game of the Year. And so, if we're good, and everyone is ready, I think we're good to announce the game of the year. We have a Zelda game. It doesn't even play like a Zelda game, is the weird part about Tears of the Kingdom. Game of the Year, the most important video game award in all of video gaming. I know I said that about the Cool Topic Awards, but that award ceremony caught on fire and died. So it's actually this one. This is the real award. This one right here is the real award. We have the winner of Game of the Year. Excuse me. Oh, on a side note, I would recommend all of these games. Although I will admit that I am sure the current audience watching the stream has probably played all of these games. Nintendo's take on Ubisoft's for me. Fair enough. I'm sure most people here have already played all of these games, but at the very least, I would recommend them all if you have not. It's fucking Tears of the Kingdom! Yay! Woo! Tears of the Kingdom wins this fucking Game of the Year! Who would have ever expected it? Except for everyone, because I said if I were to give the best game that came out in 2023 to any game, it would be Tears of the Kingdom. And I think it was the one that I had the longest review on and praised the most. This is fucking Tears of the Kingdom. Because, honestly, yeah, the game's fucking great. The one I didn't play. You should play it. You own a Switch, don't you, Maid? I think you own a Switch. You used to mention owning a Switch at one point. Play Tears of the Kingdom. Give it a shot. It's a good game. It's a really good game. It's actually a good game. As evidenced by being the best game I played last year. Water. Fire. Earth. Air. The four elements were in harmony before the Fire Nation attacked. All of these games were really good. Final Fantasy was really good. But like I said in my review, it's probably like an 8 out of 10. If I'm being really honest. If I were to say anything was held back, I think there's a lot of characters and plot lines that really don't go anywhere. And like Seymour is such an impactful villain that has nothing to fucking do with anything. Like, I think there's a lot of, like, elements of Final Fantasy X that get brought up that just don't get properly explored. Kuon is an excellent game that's sort of hampered by an unclear timeline, and I also didn't want to play Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is good, but it's not Tears of the Kingdom good. Breath of the Wild has a better story than Tears of the Kingdom, despite what people say, but you have to, like, actively go out of your way to find the Breath of the Wild storyline. I recommend the guide, because that's what I used. Kuon's great. I think you should have been cut off a while ago. From the alcohol, I'm out, if anything. If that helps you, MacTier, I drank the entire bottle. Just like I did last stream. I feel less drunk, I think, than last stream, on the other hand. Anyway, Kuon's a fantastic horror game with the smartest horror game protagonist I've ever seen. I will never forget the moment where Sakuya finds out that the maple trees are evil, and she's passing a maple tree, and I'm like, why doesn't she just set the maple tree on fire? And then the cutscene ends with her setting the maple tree on fire. Drinking a bottle of simple syrup. And I'm like, I love you, Sakuya. You're the smartest fucking video game character I've ever encountered in any horror game. I fucking love Sakuya. Tales of Berseria, obviously, it won Best Story because I love the characters, I love the plot. It does such a great job of integrating it. Where I think, if anything, it holds off is actually the little bit of its gameplay. Which I don't think the Tales series will ever get as good of a gameplay as Tales of Legendia, which is basically just a fighting game that has an RPG staple to it. But Tales of Berseria is a pretty good game overall, obviously, as it made Game of the Year. But like where Tears of the Kingdom really comes across is just the amount of freedom it gives players. It's like everything people say about Baldur's Gate, but it like actually delivers in that aspect. You can genuinely approach the game in any way you want, out of order. You can talk to people in the wrong order. You can solve puzzles in the wrong order. I will say it has a bit of a weak tutorial, but I forgot about that until I was too drunk, and I just started talking about it right now. But I don't think the weak tutorial would have changed anything anyway, because the weak tutorial was like 5-10 hours of the game, and that game is like 100+ hours long, so who fucking cares? But yeah, so such like Tears of the Kingdom is a weird example where I don't even think the story was that strong. It wins almost exclusively out of just such a phenomenal exploration of its gameplay. Like, Breath of the Wild was such a fantastic game, and Tears of the Kingdom manages to expand on all of its systems. I also don't own Simple Syrup, by the way, Pache, unfortunately. My cocktail making ability is very limited, unfortunately. So I can't just like I can't make a White Russian in my stomach. I probably could. I could actually make a White Russian in my stomach, but I'd rather just drink one. Now, the only thing I feel bad about giving Tears of the Kingdom the award on this is because I feel like this was obvious. I feel like everyone hyped up Tears of the Kingdom when it came out so much about it being such a good game. I've seen people say, like, Tears of the Kingdom isn't a video game. It's a fucking DLC for fucking Breath of the Wild. And, like, it kind of does play a lot like Breath of the Wild. But, like, as far as, like, mechanics go and the abilities in the game go, like, the abilities feel like real abilities rather than, like, JoJo's stands. Like, it feels like such a great expansion, and I'm baffled by how gamers think nowadays, because the idea of Tears of the Kingdom being a fucking DLC rather than a fucking sequel just confuses me. Like, yeah, it plays like it because it's a goddamn sequel. I don't understand how people's heads are so fucking poisoned that they don't understand that changing a game but making certain aspects of it better warrants a sequel. Like, it's a full-ass game with 2 entirely new maps added to it. That doesn't feel like DLC to me. The story is also changed. It adds, like, different ways to interact with the plot line. It's a genuine sequel, and, like, every counter I've seen to that is bizarre. Like, that's like saying, like, God of War 2 isn't a sequel to God of War specifically because, like, I don't know, because fucking Kratos is in it. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm getting worse. Is it bad that my favorite games I played for the first time last year were both remakes of games I had already played? Yes, Maid. Yes, that is bad. That means you need to broaden your horizons. That means your horizons aren't broad enough. It's okay if they're like sequels or prequels or something, but if they're just like remake, well, I guess it kind of depends. If you're saying like yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a little column A, column B. It suggests you need to broaden your horizons to other games, but I will also say that this is a phenomenon most people are aware of, and I think this is probably, like, this is why a lot of people praise Baldur's Gate 3, despite my not actual liking of it on the principle of a game, is that, like, realistically, video games are in fact getting worse. Like, they really are. They really, like, AAA games, big main games are actually getting worse. So it makes sense that you're not as into video games, but there's so many, like, past games, but past games are expensive. So I do understand your perspective at the very least. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, maybe play a game you think you might like rather than a game you definitely will like, and maybe broaden your horizons a little more. Anyway, Tears of the Kingdom is fucking fantastic. I'm getting rid of remakes from the list of the best games I played last year. For the first time last year was Scarlet Nexus. I bought that. I mentioned that on Discord. I got like 3 responses from MacTier, John, and Maid that were all like, "You should definitely get Scarlet Nexus." It was like $14 on Steam, and then $99.99. I drank an entire bottle of wine. If you're wondering what's happening, I drank an entire bottle of wine. I drank an entire bottle of wine. If you're wondering why I'm so fucked up right now. Maid, John, and MacTier all suggested I get it. So I picked up Scarlet Nexus for $14.
And then I picked up the season pass for $9.99, which is like $10. So I picked it all up for like $24. So I actually own Scarlet Nexus. I haven't played it, obviously, because there's... I think it would be physically possible. I asked this morning at like 7 o'clock. And then I went about my day. And I bought it at like fucking 4 or something like that. I don't remember when I bought it. I bought it when I had time to buy it. Because everyone suggested it. So I bought Scarlet Nexus. But I very clearly have not had time to play Scarlet Nexus, because I imagine it's longer than like 8 hours as a video game. I would be disappointed if it and the DLC were not longer than 8 hours as a video game. A really good penultimate boss. You have to play Scarlet Nexus twice. Why do you have to play Scarlet Nexus twice? By the way, we're done with the award scenario. I'm going to close it out, and we're going to go to a just sort of chatting section. Because I could also talk about the backseat politics that was mentioned last time by John, because John is bad at doing award ceremonies. There's 2 main characters. Oh, okay. How long would you say Scarlet Nexus is if I wanted to do all of it? Yubito and Kasane. I'm drinking water. I should get a second glass of water, because I actually have to work tomorrow. There's just shit all over my face right now. I have to work tomorrow, so I should try to get a second glass of water. This is my brain talking out loud. So that I don't... have a hangover. Here's a fun fact about me. I've never had a hangover in my entire life. Can you believe that? That's pretty crazy. But you've had a hangover. That's because Sac is always hydrated. Sac can't stop drinking water. 30 hours to finish both characters. I will remind you that I do all of the side quests and read all of the dialogue and talk to all of the side characters. Have you remembered that? So, the backseat politics that I will remind everyone, only now that we have finished, has really shitty side quests. I usually do all the side quests, unless the side quests I can see is just fucking nonsense. Like, I remember in Outer Worlds, one of the side quests was just collect all the clothes, and I was like, no, eat a dick. I tried doing them only to go, this is ass, and stopped doing them, and had a great time after that. Yeah, usually I'll do all the side quests, unless, like, they're so palpably bullshit on the outside. But yeah, so here's the reveal about the backseat politics, because I remember John revealed this last year, and the same rule applies. Only side quests worth doing are the ones that involve party members. Is that a video game cannot win 2 awards. So I started with Game of the Year and worked backward to prevent anything from winning double awards. Otherwise, I will say Fire Emblem Engage is probably the only one that got affected with this. Had a genuine chance of actually winning Best Soundtrack, because the Fire Emblem Engage soundtrack is absolutely fucking fantastic. Like, genuinely fucking great. And so it did have a good chance of actually winning Best Soundtrack. But I think that was the only one that got affected by this rule. Tears of the Kingdom. Who won Best Gameplay? Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. Best gameplay. Here's the Fire Emblem Fates. Tears of the Kingdom may have had a chance against Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. But like I said, I worked backwards and already knew that Tears of the Kingdom was going to win. So I think that's why it wasn't even considered as like an actual competitor against Conquest. But like it probably would have been. So that one might have been affected, and Fire Emblem Engage definitely would have won best might have won best soundtrack against Birth by Sleep. Like I said, Birth by Sleep is like the best soundtrack of like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, so it's a little cheating. Like I said, I didn't feel very good about giving it the award on that one. I almost like if we were like pure rules as written and then we kick out Birth by Sleep for being a compilation, probably I don't know, Lobotomy Corp or something, but I will say that certain points of the plot become near the ending. Your second playthrough carries over stuff. You'll be wrecking everything and saying run. That sounds pretty cool. That sounds good. I like that. How long to beat? I'm going to look up Scarlet Nexus on how long to beat. How long to beat? Scarlet Nexus. Scarlet Nexus, according to how long to beat, is 35 hours. Wow, it's a fucking short game. You know, the base price for that game is $70. They charge the extra $10 that like AAA games have been charging. I got it like for $25, including DLC. But like, that's fucking 35-hour game for $70. Like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? That's crazy. I bought it for $12. Did you get the DLC though? Did you get the DLC, the one you bought it for $12? Haha. I think statistically you still win, though, because I got it for $14. Well, I got the deluxe edition for $14, which includes, like, the art book and shit. Which, totally honest, I don't want the art book or shit. I just played the game. I don't even think it's patched. Oh, yeah, because you got your internet thing. I'm fucking drunk. I'm like drunk. I'm like drunk. I'm like real drunk. I'm like the kind of drunk where like you see the person and you're like, that person's drunk. The awards are over! We did it! I think these are about the same length as the regular awards. I should probably stop. Or I should turn off the background. I actually can turn off the background. But, yeah, Digimon is supposed to be tomorrow. I can't promise Digimon tomorrow 100%. Totally honest. So, like, if you have anything going on that might interfere with Digimon, I highly recommend you do it, if I'm being totally honest with you. It's not necessarily related to I think I'll be busy, because I suspect I won't be. It's just like I've been super down lately. And I don't know if I'll be in the mood to Digimon. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to physically bring myself to Digimon tomorrow. So be aware of that. But otherwise, look forward to Digimon tomorrow, I guess. One other thing I will say. And this is something SoberSack was thinking about, is that it probably won't be Wednesday or Thursday streams for the foreseeable future. It'll probably just be Sunday, Monday. Just because shit has been hectic lately. And I'm actually considering like transferring over jobs. Do a different job. So might be a bit busy during the week, for example. So weekends might be the best possible. Sunday, Monday might be the best possible days for streams. I guess I'll keep you posted, as you always know I will. But yeah, look forward to all that. And thanks for stopping by. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed the inaugural Dialogue Tree Awards. I really should get more water just to make sure all this gets pissed out of me. Remember, it was an honor to even be nominated, unless you're Everything Everywhere All at Once, in which case, yeah, I really should have nominated you and forgot. Until next time, which may or may not be tomorrow, and if not, it's probably like next Sunday. I have been Sacrabalic, your envoy of hope, which is a title I stole from a video game. I will see you next time. I usually type bye-bye into chat and then do an emote, so I'll do that right now. Bye-bye. And then my deep secret is I wait till the emote finishes bouncing. And then I click end stream. Like right there.